Okay, so as I have said on a community post, this is not the first time I've tried to do this ding-dang tier list. I got as far as ranking the yellow trailer, and I stopped because, like, my throat's getting kind of sore because I talked for about 2 hours, not about the trailers for 4 hours. I was like, let me talk about Ruby Rose's character in depth and, like, what I think of her character across the seasons, and then talked about the trailer. And I did that for all four members of Team RWBY. Then when I was done with that, I was like, I feel like I've said a lot about the actual seasons. I could probably get through them a lot quicker. I paused the recording, and then when I went to stop the recording, it was like, oh no, the recording is actually started. Because it turns out there was some weird technical glitch where the recording would only work for about... It would depend. Sometimes it would be about a minute. Sometimes it would be like 30 seconds. Sometimes I would snap my fingers and then it would just be gone. It was that quick. So all of that was lost. My drive and desire was destroyed. But Clay was able to get this working. Hopefully this is working. I'm just going to give Clay a round of applause. If that came across as condescending, I apologize. It's genuinely not supposed to. I am happy that he did me this fucking solid. Wait, what the hell? Okay, sorry. I was just looking at the screen. I was like, Ghibli, this is RWBY. Oh, there we go. I just forgot how to read for a second, I guess. But here we are, the tier list of the 4 character trailers, all 9 volumes, and yes, I'm gonna say volumes, I'm gonna call them seasons. There's probably times where I'm gonna call them gens instead, because Pokemon's been on the brain. I had a lot of fun playing the Ingo disc. Clay and I actually finished our Pokedexes a little bit earlier. Ice Queendom and the 2 Justice League specials. I know there's other RWBY shit. I know there's like a chibi show. I know there's books. This is all I was interested in at this time. I know there's a Neo book. I think it's called Roman Holiday. I'm kind of interested in it. I am interested in it, but I don't know if or when I will check it out. But this is all the stuff I wanted to talk about. So before we get into the actual discussions of the show and the trailers and shit proper, I need to discuss these, what the actual tiers are, and what they represent to me. Because when you see a B tier or a D tier, it might mean something different from when I am doing it, and I feel like it's important to make that distinction. So starting from the bottom. BOTFB, of course, stands for bottom of the fucking barrel. It is a term that I remember using when Clay and I marathoned the Pokemon films, because we were ranking the movies as we watched them. Like, alright, we just finished Pokemon Heroes. It's the 5th movie, so where do we rank this, and then how do we re-rank the others, etc., etc. After watching Genesect, a movie I thought was so fucking terrible, no other movie in the series could be worse. I just wrote, it's bottom of the fucking barrel. It's at the bottom. It earned its spot at the bottom. I don't think it's ever in question. What it truly means to have this rank, to me, it's 3 requirements. I'm a lawyer, so I like having elements. I like things having requirements and lists. Element number 1, it has to be at the bottom of the list. Easy enough. Element number 2, it has to be actively disliked. For example, let's say, the example to me that I always use is the Toy Story movies, because I love all 4 Toy Story movies. Whichever movie I would put at the bottom, which, as much as it impacted me emotionally, I think I would say Toy Story 4 is my least favorite of the 4. But there's by no means do I dislike the movie. So is it at the bottom of the list of Toy Story films? Yes. Is it actively disliked? No. Thus, it is not bottom of the fucking barrel. And requirement/element number 3, it has to, like, my vitriol towards it has to be so strong and so passionate that when I am done with it, I have to say to myself, yeah, there's no way they can make something worse. I hate this. I hate this so much that it has earned a special place in my heart, and it is the place in my heart that feels nothing but hate. That's what it means to be bottom of the fucking barrel. So, is there something like that in RWBY? I will be honest, I don't think so. But maybe if I talk myself into it, maybe it can happen. So it's kind of, I don't expect to use it here, but it's here just in case it's needed. So moving up. Okay, clicking doesn't work. I have to actually use the mouse. So that's fine. F tier. F tier, it's just dog shit. I really don't like this. I don't think it works. I don't hate it enough for it to be bottom of the fucking barrel, which generally means it's either, yeah, I think it's really bad, but it just doesn't earn my hatred, or I don't think it's... Fuck, I kind of lost my train of thought there. Okay, let me try that again. It is either, yes, it's really bad, but not bad enough to earn my hatred, or I might really fucking hate it, but I can acknowledge there's enough good stuff here that it's not quite bottom of the fucking barrel. Like, maybe, in RWBY terms, like, maybe the opening is really good. Maybe there's a character arc in it that I really like. Maybe I think, alright, the fights are fantastic, but everything else, blah, 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 blah. But it's like, it's an F. It's pretty fucking bad. To me, a D tier, it is just more disappointing. Like, it's not good. I'll say this, D and C to me are kind of similar. These are the, like, to me, C is mid, D is disappointing. Really, the difference is, C is something that I'm more like, it was fine. Like, maybe it wasn't particularly good, or maybe it just wasn't particularly great, but I don't really dislike it. Or if I do dislike it, I kind of have fun disliking it. Not something like The Room, because The Room is special. Like, The Room is one of my favorite movies of all time. This, to me, it's almost more like Guilty Crown. Oh god, I think Guilty Crown is so fucking bad, but it's so entertaining to watch and pick apart. And there's some goofy shit. Like, there's some genuinely really good things in Guilty Crown, and I'm actually surprised I could say that with a straight face. The openings are phenomenal. But there is some shit in that show, like there's a dude who is spinning, and while he's spinning, he's yelling at one of the main characters. He's like, I'm gonna send you straight to heaven! And I was cracking up. I remember having to rewind the scene. Like, there's no way that just happened. Rewound the scene, confirmed it was real, and laughed even harder. It's like, no, that's not an F. That's not a D. That's at least a C. Like, it's not good, but it's entertaining as hell. Anyways, D is the more, like, it's pretty mid, it's mediocre, it's disappointing, it's this, but it's not as good. A B tier is I respect it more than I like it. It could be that I respect some of the ideas that they're trying to go for, I just don't think they're executed well. It could be, I think, like, the music is so fucking good that it at least earns that spot, or the animation is really fucking good, so it earns that spot. Something kind of like that. But it's definitely the more positive end. A tier, it's good shit. It fucking slaps me. I really like it. I will go to bat for it. There's nothing much else to say. Like, I'm smiling as I'm saying. Like, to me, that's what an A tier is. Like, I just like it. It makes me happy. S tier means with whatever category we're talking about. So, obviously, today, that's RWBY shit. S tier means you have an argument to be my favorite thing in this category. So, for example, we're going to be doing the red trailer first. If it's an S tier, that means out of everything here, I can make a good faith argument that this is my favorite thing of all. And I probably should have been doing this as I go and just kind of explaining it. Fucking whoops. And then if it's the double S, that means it is my favorite. No bullshit. No cap. This is the king. That doesn't mean I can't have two. That doesn't mean I can't have co-kings or like a king and queen, whatever terms you want to use. But it's rare. The one example I can think of off the top of my head is when we did the C-Cats tier list. I had Ange and Maria both as my double S. So, like, I can't choose between these two characters. I love them equally. I love their stories equally. And I love thematically what they represent in the series equally. Like, they are just as important thematically as the other. And it works super fucking well. When we did DreamWorks, for me, it was Puss in Boots 2 is the double S because I think it's the best movie there. There's a part of me, though, that says maybe I should have also put Kung Fu Panda in there because it resonates with me on such a personal level in a way that's kind of weird for me that maybe I should have put them both in there. It's like, here's the one that the artistic part of me just loves. Here's the part of me that the very personal part of me loves. I don't know. But at least one thing will be crowned double S. Maybe two. So let's start actually talking about the Red trailer. And so I don't end up recording for 2 hours on 4 things. I'm not going to do a whole thing about Ruby Rose as a character, at least not right now. Maybe it's season 9! Like, that feels really fucking apt for season 9. Right now, we're just going to talk about the Red trailer. So, this is not an actual placement. I think just whenever I bring something up, I'm just kind of going to put it in B, because it's around the middle of the screen. And yeah, I mean, it's basically the middle of the screen. I think that's good for now, and I'll rank it after I talk about it. So, with all that preamble and babbling out of the way, I actually rewatched it a couple days ago. It was the only trailer I rewatched, specifically because I was talking about it in the thing, and the thing got fucked, and I was like, I want to rewatch this again. I believe I have said this several times over my RWBY videos, how much I love this trailer. How I love the look of it, how I love, like, the music, and I love the fight. Like, I've said it's my favorite fight in the series, and if not, it's right behind Raven and Cinder from Season 5, and yeah, after watching the entire show, I still think that's accurate. I think it's just so fucking cool. Like, it is genuinely not hyperbole to say I love everything about the Red trailer. I love the colors. I love, like, the fucking Snow White shit. That's a weird thing to say when I'm not talking about Weiss. But, the snow, I love it because it's very atmospheric. You know, like, she goes to visit her mother's grave. She's completely silent. She doesn't say anything. And I feel like just the falling snow and the dead trees add a lot of somber atmosphere to it. But at the same time, the white backgrounds really help her colors pop. The red in her cloak, the little bits of red on her hair, the red in her scythe, and then the black in her hair, the black in her clothes, the black on her scythe. I really like it. It also helps, like, the flower petals pop, and it helps the blood of the fucking wolves pop really well. I think the red and black color scheme is really fucking cool for this character. I really like the music. Red Like Roses, I think, is one of the best songs in the series, and that's saying a lot because pretty much every song's the best song in the series. I remember watching a Pro Jared video several years ago. It was him talking about Final Fantasy VI, and there were several times he would talk about a piece of music and go, this, and it's the best song in the game, because, yeah, there's a lot of best songs in the game in Final Fantasy VI. I can definitely say that about RWBY. All 3 Red Like Roses are one of them. Take a shot every time I say I've already noticed I've done that a lot. That one was intentional. That one doesn't count as a shot. The reason I like the song so much is how well it fits the vibe of the trailer. When it's just RWBY, you know, with her hood up, walking through the snow, visiting her mom, the music and the lyrics feel very somber and very dreamlike. And I think it really sets the cold atmosphere very well. Then when the wolves show up, and it's just pure instrumental, it's very folksy. Like, it's this kind of folky rock song, which, given the whole thing of RWBY, is fairy tale characters. You've got Little Red Riding Hood, Snow White, Beauty and the Beast, because, you know, Blake is, there's parts of her that's Belle, there's parts of her Beast. She's Goldilocks. You've got, like, Wizard of Oz characters everywhere. Penny is Pinocchio, proving that Pinocchio is just absolutely goated, because Penny might be my favorite character in the whole fucking show. So a very folksy tune, I think, is great. But there's also some rock elements to it, where it's like, yeah, Little Red Riding Hood isn't just going to Grandma's house. She's kicking ass. She's cutting off wolf heads with her sniper rifle. This is amazing. I've said it several times, and I'll say it again. Crescent Rose is one of my favorite weapons of all time. It is easily my favorite weapon in the show. And this is a show where the weapons are fucking crazy. Watching RWBY after playing Bloodborne is a really fun experience. I'm like, yeah, I could see basically any of these weapons existing in Bloodborne. Maybe not Yang's gauntlet, just gauntlets, like his gauntlet shotguns. Because that's not really a trick weapon. I mean, I guess kind of the same with Weiss. But a lot, like, these are just fucking trick weapons. Like, we're even huntsmen and huntresses and, oh, welcome home, good hunter. Like, this is fucking Bloodborne! I don't even really like Souls games that much. And even I really fuck with Bloodborne. I do want to play Lies of P at some point. I know they showed their next project is going to be Wizard of Oz theme. I'm like, dude, I don't know if it's a new game. I don't know if it's DLC. Wizard Souls sounds really fucking cool. And if they make Alice Souls, I'm going to be all over that shit. And, you know, I've talked about why one of the reasons I love about Season 9 is it's Alice in Wonderland. But back to the Red trailer. I think the music fits the tone of the trailer really fucking well. It does a very good job of showing off how RWBY is going to look. Not just the character, but the show as a whole. It's those old, I knew I was going to say Gen, these Gen 1 ass designs that look so jank and weird, and I love it. Like, I love how they look. Like, there's something about when she's standing at her mom's grave, and she has the, she's wearing the Little Red Riding Hood. There's something about its texture that's very, like, MS Paint looking to me. And I don't say that as a bad thing. For some reason, I really fuck with it. Like, it just looks neat. But it also shows Monty's style of choreography. Momentum and a recoil. There's parts where, like, RWBY will hook a fucking wolf with her scythe, shoot another wolf, killing the wolf she shot with the bullet, and the recoil of shooting the bullet will move her scythe to cut off something's head. There is a lot of that in the trailer as the music is escalating and crescendoing, and then she's just moving the scythe around. I'm doing it with my hands, you can't see it. But, like, she's moving the scythe around, and as the music's like, dun, 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 and then you're just hearing boom, 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 as, like, the shots keep going, and then you're just, like, getting cuts of blood flying everywhere, bullets flying everywhere, fucking rose petals flying everywhere, and then it ends in this fucking shot. You know where it's going. Like, if you've seen any of my other RWBY videos, you knew exactly where this was going. Or maybe you thought it would go here. There's a chance I might talk myself into it also being double S. I think it's the double S of Monty's run on the show. You know, fuck it. It is my double S for Monty's run. It's going right there. You cannot convince me that the Red trailer is not peak, goated, Kino content. It is. I love it. The White trailer, it's pretty good. Yeah, I would be lying if I said I didn't like the White trailer as much as the Red trailer, but I still like it. I still think it's neat. One thing, I can't say it with a straight face, but I'm being sincere. One thing I do love about the White trailer is Weiss gets her ass kicked. And that's not me trying to be like, man, yeah, I hate Weiss, so seeing her lose is satisfying. It's watching Weiss lose is just kind of what happens in RWBY. Especially in, like, these early to mid seasons. It feels like she jobs so much and so consistently. There's a part of my brain that just goes, in the trailer showing off her character and how cool she is, she's, like, the only one to start. I think Yang maybe does a little bit, but it kind of works with Yang because, like, that's how her semblance works. She takes damage, she goes Super Saiyan. I don't know what else to fucking call it. I don't know, I guess she goes Goldilocks. But, like, she goes Super Saiyan, and then she can give that damage back. Weiss doesn't have anything like that. She just takes damage. And so it kind of makes sense in her, like, yeah, this is how her powers work. Or I guess not her powers. There's no magic. It's her fighting style. It is very, though, based on quote-unquote magic and the using of glyphs. Whether it's for element shit, like using ice. Whether it's for momentum and recoil, like using glyphs to jump and bounce around. Or to increase or decrease, like, momentum and impact and gravity. And I think that shit is so fucking cool. As much as I clown on Weiss for how she fights and how often she loses, I might like her fighting style more than Ruby's. I don't like her weapon as much, although watching her load her rapier like a revolver kind of gives me life anytime it happens, because I think it's really fucking cool. But I actually do really like her fighting style, which does make it kind of a shame when she focuses more on summoning, but I do feel like they, especially in some of the later seasons, they do a good job of balancing between the use of glyphs and the use of summoning. Other aspects of the trailer, I guess another thing about her getting her ass whipped is I like that there's a scar there. And it's something that when you watch the show proper, like, because I remember noticing, I was like, oh, I don't think I noticed that the first couple times I watched the show. And maybe I did, I just never thought about it. I was like, oh, that makes sense. That's from the trailer. Like, she got fucked up right around her eye, and it's there. The trailers are canon. The trailers are important. I just think that's neat. As for the fight itself, I do think it is pretty cool. Oh, phone went off. Oh, it's a Discord notification. It doesn't matter. I have a Discord. I just don't really use it, bother with it that much. So I just, there's another, fuck. How many times have I done it without realizing? Anyways. My favorite part of the White trailer, no question, is the song. I like Mirror Mirror a lot. I think it's very pretty. Yeah, the Snow White character, her song is a mirror, mirror, what are you showing people and shit. I like it. But not only that, I think it does a very good job of showing who Weiss is as a character. It is a song not about who's the fairest of them all, who's the strongest, who's the smartest, who's the loneliest. And it does a good job of putting that seed in your head of, there's something off here about this person and her ability to relate to people. Maybe it's just that she doesn't have friends. Maybe it's issues with her family. And as we find out, it's a little bit of both, but it's mostly the latter. There are a lot of issues with the Schnee family. And it does a good job of introducing that part of her character. So while I'm definitely not putting it up here, I don't think I could make a genuine good faith argument that this is one of my favorite things in all of RWBY. I like it a lot, though. It's an A tier. Moving on to Blake, the Black trailer, which I kind of want to put it in B, just because that just works for me. No, actually, I think I would put it in B. If not, I would put it in C, which... C for Catwoman! But I think it's okay. I like what it does for Blake's character. Again, like, the trailers are canon. And this, I think, is a kind of an interesting way of showing one of the main character's backstories. It's in the trailer for the show and the trailer for her. That's kind of neat. And it does show her with Adam. It shows them fighting some shit, stealing from a Schnee Dust Company train, which, after Ice Queen, I'm like, oh yeah, that fucking train. And it also shows her getting to a point where she says, I don't believe in this anymore. I think your methods are too extreme. I have to go my separate ways. It does a really good job of just, like, showing off who Blake is. I remember the, like, red trees in the background that looking super pretty. I just don't remember the song. And I don't remember the fights very much. I remember when I was watching it just kind of thinking, yeah, this is okay. Like, I like what it's setting up, but I think the production on it is more just like, it's okay. It's fine. I don't love it. I certainly don't hate it. I think B is fair because I do respect it for how well it sets up Blake's character. Then, for the final trailer, which, boy, I was able to talk about most of these well under 2 hours. Let's go. Character development, baby. Then we get Yang, the yellow trailer. So the thing about Yang's trailer is, aside from Blake's, it has easily the most dialogue and voice acting, and I think it does have more than Blake's. And I'd be lying if I said I thought it was good. I think the voice acting, for the most part, was fine, but I just remember the dialogue and going like, what the fuck is this? So, it, like Blake's, it feels like it has actually a very strong plot to it. With Blake and Adam, I guess, with Blake, it's she and Adam in her trailer, trying to steal some shit, doing some terrorist activities, going a bit too far, Adam saying, we're just gonna kill everybody or leave them to die, Blake thinking that's not okay, and breaking off to save those people. With Yang, she goes to a bar, says she's looking for someone, is trying to get information. It does have Torchwick in there as well, getting some men from Junior, which of course he's using those men in the season 1 premiere. So again, good continuity. And her trying to get information, her not getting it, her getting angry and fighting people and like trashing this place. Also, she asked the dude, his name was Junior, I believe, like, hey, can you give me some information? I don't know. So she grabs his dick and with her hand on his junk is demanding information. I'm like, oh, that's sexual harassment. Like, that's not okay. Like, I'm sorry. Like, that's not particularly funny. And it's not, for example, like in season 4, no, it's season 5, excuse me. In season 5, there's the Joe Dirt dude who starts hitting on her. And Yang's like, nope, nope, nope. And then he keeps getting closer, keeps making advances, so she punches him. I think at that point, that's more than justified. She said no, he continued, got into her personal space, so she punched him. If at that point, instead of punching him, she just like grabbed his junk and was like, dude, back off, I would think, okay, that was maybe a weird way to handle that, but no, like, he's in your business. Like, do what you gotta do there. This was, hey, can you give me some information? No, also, like, this is my bar. You don't look old enough to be here. Please leave. Okay, now that I have your dick in my hands, tell me everything. Like, what the fuck? What is this shit? And then, like, right after, she lets him go and is like, hey, man, I'm just teasing you. How about a kiss? So, like, it's so fucking weird. It's so just strange. I mean, it's classic RWBY, like RWBY season 1 strangeness, but even for that, it just feels off. I remember it being also, I think it's the only trailer with non-revs, which I've talked about, is a major problem I have in season 1, is when you're trying to show a crowd full of people, but you don't have the time and or the budget to animate them or fully draw them, you just make silhouettes. Because sometimes silhouettes can work, like, for atmosphere or for theming. Ice Queendom does a very good job of that, where whenever, what's her name, is it Willow? I think it's Willow, not Winona. But Weiss's mom, she is displayed fully as a shadow. And I think, given what she has become in Weiss's life, as someone who is just in the background and in the shadows, it works really well. In season 1 and in the yellow trailer, and they're like, oh yeah, we're at a dance club, there's all these people on the floor dancing, and you don't see any of them, they're all just shadowy people. Like, no, that to me doesn't add to the atmosphere. It just makes me aware of the cheapness, and I'm sorry, that doesn't work for me. It's just not a trope I like, and I was so fucking happy when that was not a problem in season 2 or the rest of the show. But the music's really good in this trailer. I think it's really good. I think the fighting is really good in it too. And I feel like in terms of the way it's written, it's like around here-ish. The music though, and the fighting, I think could maybe put it in here. But honestly, I feel like I have to give it a C tier because of how just fucking weird the whole thing is. Also, it's the first time you hear RWBY talk, and I think it's something I heard where a lot of people are like, that is not at all the voice I expected to hear out of this character. What the fuck? And I've gone on record saying numerous times, I really like Lindsay's performance. There are a couple times where I don't think it works super well, And that's one of them. Like, something about it just feels really weird and maybe a little too high-pitched. But I honestly think in most of the seasons, season 9 in particular, she fucking kills it. But that's the trailers. So now let's actually move on to the show. Again, I'm just kind of using this as a B tier as the genuine general placeholder. Let's start with Volume 1. Oh, this is a janky piece of shit. And I love it. I really do. Season 1 has the worst pacing of the entire show. And I honestly think the pacing of the show, maybe it's also because I was binging it and not watching it weekly. I feel like the pacing is actually really good. My one, aside from season 1, I think my only real exception to that is season 7. Because I could never really tell how long it was going. I was like, are they in Atlas for... Has this been a few days? Has this been a few weeks? Has this been a few months? I'm genuinely not that sure. But for the most part, even if there are, like, you know, some time skips in between episodes and whatnot, I feel like the general flow of information and flow of plots and character moments works well. In season 1, where a good chunk of the episodes are under 10 minutes, and I think a chunk of them are under 5 minutes, it feels weird. It's like episodes, you kind of blink, and then you're already at the ending song. After, like, you're fully paying attention to the opening, because it's RWBY, the opening's fucking slap. You blink, and then you're at the fucking credits. It's weird. A lot of the movement outside of combat, even combat sometimes maybe a little bit, but I think the fights are still pretty good, the few that there are. Outside of combat, the movement's really fucking weird. A lot of the dialogue and the character interactions are really fucking weird, and I don't like Jean in Volume 1. I find him... So at first I found him annoyingly endearing. Like, he's kind of annoying with, like, how completely fucking useless he is. But he seems like he's a likable enough dude. He's trying his best. He's a bit outmatched, but he's like, you know, I want to be here. I want to be stronger. This is shit I believe. And I'm like, you know what? I like you, Jean boy. You're a pretty good dude. I like him enough. Then comes the reveal that he cheated his way into Beacon. He's like, no, I don't actually belong here. I faked my transcripts so I could get in because I wanted to be a hero. That's what my dad did, my grandpa, I think my grandpa's dad and his grandpa, etc., etc., etc. I just suck. And I couldn't handle just sucking, so I had to do something about it. So I did, and that's why I'm here. I like this. Mostly. The reason I say mostly is there's that part of my brain that goes, wait, he actually pulled that off? Like, how bad is the staff at Beacon? Because there's a line, during the landing strategies, and fuck, the landing strategy scene is so fucking cool. I love it. I think it's really neat. Again, like, when they're doing just fighting and action scenes, it looks really cool. And it's a lot. Even if it doesn't always look great, it's fun, so I don't care if it looks kind of off, you know? Professor Goodwitch, Glinda Goodwitch, again, Wizard of Oz shit. At one point she says to Oz, like, hey, how the fuck did this kid get in here? Like, I know his grades are really good, but what the fuck? This makes no sense. So clearly, she was bamboozled by Jean. So you can make an argument about Oz, and I will in a second. You can make an argument about Oz, but it seems the rest of the staff was genuinely fooled by this, which I don't think reflects well on them. As for Ozpin, I don't know. I think my personal headcanon is that Oz figured it out as like, okay, I know this kid is full of shit. Either from reading the transcripts, he's like, I can tell the parts that are faked, or he's like, you know, these are really good, let's meet the kid. Yeah, he's full of shit. He's 100% full of shit. Excuse me. But you know what? I like the cut of his jib. You want to come to my school despite how bad you are? I want to see what you can do. You were able to fool the rest of my staff, so clearly you've got a brain, and you have the determination. I want to see what you do with this, Mr. Ark. So I am going to give you a chance at my school, but I am pulling no punches. I am treating you the way I would treat any of the other students who earned their way here. And if you can keep up, great. If you can improve and get stronger, fantastic. If you can't, that's on you, bucko. That's my headcanon for Oz. I kind of like that. But again, when it comes to Jean himself, I like the idea of him faking his transcripts. I like the idea of him saying, like, no, I am fucking terrible, but I want to be better. So I took the initiative so I can get here. So I can learn from the best. That being the best teachers, that being the best headmaster, that being the best students. And hopefully, through sheer effort and work and osmosis, I can get better too. That's great. I love shit like that. Like, that's, again, like, I think I brought this up when I was talking about season 1, like, in my video for it. That's just like Midoriya from My Hero. Say what you will about My Hero. I know I hear a lot of people like Mid-Hero Academia and blah, 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 blah. I like Deku a lot. And it's because of that early part of the series. Like, I want to be a hero. I was given the opportunity, and I grasped it. But firmly grasped it, but I had to work for it. Dude was working his ass off. And then once he got, like, he worked out enough, like, he got his body to a place where it could accept one for all. Yeah, one for all, not all for one. He accepted one for all, got into school. He didn't just say, cool, I'm here, now I can suck. He's still working hard. He's still working on his quirk. He's working on, like, analysis and shit. He puts in the effort before, during, and after, and that's why I hate Jean in season 1. He puts in the work before, he does not put in the work during. You see him in class not paying attention, falling asleep, not giving a shit, and then you find this out, and Pyrrha's like, okay, dude, well, what if I help you out? Like, I'm really fucking good at this fighting business, and you're on my team, you're our team leader. I want to make you better. I want to help you get better. Also because you're my friend. And Jean's response is, no. I want to get stronger under my own power. And on there's a way it could be written or delivered where I could almost kind of accept it or respect it. Like, I appreciate this. I really do. But it doesn't mean anything. Like, I have to put in the work. I can't just let someone else do shit for me. I need to go do it myself. And I feel like that's almost kind of what they're going for. But again, the way it's written and delivered, he's so fucking whiny in that scene. He's like, no, I want to be the hero, and I can't let anyone else be the hero for me. That's how he fucking sounds. And again, if he was actively paying attention in class and putting in the effort academically, or you see him, like, weapon training by himself, like, if Pyrrha found him training and was like, dude, I love what you're doing, but you are doing it wrong. Your stance is wrong. Your form is wrong. Here's what you should do. And you see Jean putting in the effort and now someone is coaching him. I think that would have been great. But you don't see it. And we spend a lot of time on it. And that's why I'm talking about it here, not just like on a Jean-focused video or a tier list. There's like a few episodes of dealing with Jean in season 1 where I think he's at his worst. He gets way better from here. Like, I talked about, like, some of my favorite shit in season 4 is the shit with Team Juniper. And the scene of Jean watching Pyrrha's training video, like, it's in the middle of the night. He's trying not to disturb anybody. So it's him not only getting his training in, showing that he is still working, but him dealing with his grief of losing his friend and someone he loved that loved him. It's a really beautiful and touching scene. And I mean, I get the idea. It's like, you know, like, we want to give him some character development. Sure, but I genuinely don't feel like that development was needed. Like, I feel like we could have gone to from point A to point B without a point A, like, without a point 5. That's why I'm so critical of it. It's like this little arc he had, no pun intended, but the arc he had, to me, makes him less likable rather than more endearing, and that's a problem. Now that I've talked about Jean, let me actually talk about the main characters of this season. But Jean is kind of the other main character of the season. Like, I know I said this in season 1. Season 1 is not RWBY, it's Rouge. It's R and J with maybe a little W in the middle. Yang is not in season 1. Like, she's there. She doesn't do shit. She barely interacts with her sister. She barely interacts with her teammates. Blake is her new teammate that, is, Bumblebee for life or whatever. They, I don't know, maybe say 7 sentences together in season 1. It's kind of wild. Blake doesn't do much in season 1. She's just kind of forgotten about in the background, aside from that first scene when she talks to RWBY, not in episode 2, but like when they introduce each other properly during the like sleepover thing. And the last couple episodes when Sun shows up and she and Weiss get into a fight and blah blah blah, and I don't hate it, but I am just kind of like, oh right, I forgot you were in the show. Welcome, Blake. I'm glad you decided to join us. It's not that it's too little too late, because there's a lot of other show for her to be just on time to, but in terms of season 1, for me, it kind of is. Weiss is fucking obnoxious, and I mean, it's Weiss. Does that ever really change? Yeah, arguably. But I feel like at least her obnoxious qualities, in most seasons, looking at you, season 4, but in most seasons, I feel like Weiss strikes a balance of being obnoxious, but being entertaining, or at least having enough self-awareness or emotional maturity for it to work. In season 1, it just doesn't, and I get it. It's the start of the show. She's an alpha bitch. She's kind of a piece of shit. She has to grow, but that doesn't mean I have to like her where she starts, There's this one scene, and I know I've referenced it a couple times, because it lives in my head rent-free for how fucking weird it is. And, like, this is pure Gen 1 RWBY jank at its best. And it is Blake, it's either Blake or Yang. One of them is talking shit to Weiss, and this is either, like, right before or right after they meet Penny. And I have to give season 1 some props. It does introduce Penny. Didn't really care about her in season 1. I was like, oh, cool, a robot girl, whatever. And then season 7, and I'm like, oh, you might be the best character in the show. You are goated. I love you. And I'm so sad that you had to fucking die. Penny, that broke my heart, man. Oh, I literally, like, I fucking cried. I knew it was coming. And the scene where she fucking gives the power to Winter, I cried. And the scene in season 9 when RWBY delivers that eulogy for Penny, I cried. 2 of the 3 times in the series are because of Penny. Goated ass character. She's a real girl. Anyways, back to season 1. The jank ass scene is either Blake or Yang says something about Weiss's dress. She's like, it's not a dress. It's a battle skirt. And RWBY just slides into the frame beside Weiss. Yeah! Like, Weiss just fucking schooled him and talked some shit. And then without looking at each other, they high-five. And I just remember that scene. I'm like, that was so fucking weird. That line was not funny. It was not written funny. It was not delivered funny. But RWBY thinking that it was funny and high-fiving is what sells it. Like, it's a Weiss-involved scene, but it's RWBY that fucking sells it. Another scene that lives in my head, and I fucking laugh at it. And I this one I laugh with, because I fucking love it. It's when they're talking about Pyrrha and her semblance, and semblances aren't magic, even though they fucking are, and I will always hate that. But her power is I can manipulate and control polarity. You can control poles? No, you idiot, it's magnetism. Oh, magnets are cool too. I don't, I'm sorry, just the control pole shit, I just think is fucking hilarious. And like season 1 RWBY, I like this character. I think she's a lot of fun. I've said it before. Her introduction in season 1 is a phenomenal character introduction. Chilling at the store, listening to music, listening to the show's opening. Dude tries to rob her. She genuinely doesn't know what the hell is happening. Are you robbing me? No, she doesn't even say it like that, because she doesn't even say it like she's incredulous. Like, she's genuinely asking, like, hold on a second. Like, are you robbing me? Yeah. Oh. Kicks his ass. Kicks him outside the fucking window. Jumps out the window. Unveils Crescent Rose and stands like this fucking gargoyle who's about to kick everyone's ass. And then proceeds to do so. That is such a good character opening. Which, yes, I mean, technically the Red trailer, we already got one, which, with how high it's ranked, you could argue is a better character opening. She has 2 character introductions, and they are both phenomenal. I think she's a ton of fun. What I really like about RWBY's character in season 1, in hindsight, it does a very good job of establishing the best and the worst of Ruby Rose. You see her as someone who can come up with a plan, as someone whose teammates can rely on. You also see someone who is doubting her ability as a leader. And you also see someone who at times can be too stubborn, who can just run into, like, I have an idea, I'm not even going to think about it, I'm not going to consider that it's wrong, I'm just going to do it, and there's pros and cons to that, and boy, we see the consequences of it across the season. I really, really like that. In terms of the fights, there's a really cool one in episode 1 where she's fighting all of Torchwick's droogs, and Cinder and Goodwitch get into a little magic duel, but it's not magic. I mean, I guess Cinder's is, because she has maiden powers, at least like half maiden powers at that point. All the cool shit Glinda's doing isn't magic, and yeah, I'm gonna keep bringing that up because I fucking hate it. I like this show a lot. It ain't perfect. At least I don't think it is. There's the slingshot fight. It's great. It's really fucking cool. It's really fun to watch. It's super creative. Red Like Roses 2 is playing in the background, and it goes so fucking hard. To me, one of the biggest problems in season 1, though, is it lacks a climax. There's a last fight where there's Torchwick and some White Fang dudes, and Blake fights them, and Sun fights them, and Sun's got a bow staff that tricks into a nunchuck, that tricks into a flintlock pistol. That's really cool. And Penny's, like, has her knives, which are laser pistols, that she can manipulate through strings, and at times it feels like just sheer telekinesis. And it's really cool, but it doesn't feel like a climax. Like, it's not ending any... I mean, I guess it is ending a setup plot of Torchwick, who was in episode 1, but that's kind of it. It feels like a last episode, but not a real ending to the season, you know? And I feel like it's, off the top of my head, it's the only season that does that. Even season 4, I feel like, yeah, it has a proper climax. This just doesn't. With all that being said, it's a janky piece of shit. But it's my janky piece of shit. I have a huge soft spot for it. And it really, to me, comes down to just how sincere season 1 is. It feels like this is helmed by someone who loves this project. He loves this world. He loves this cast. He loves the way they fight. Their cool-ass weapons. He's like, I made this. I love this, and I want to show it to people. And the fact that other people saw it and said, I want to work on this because I really like it too. And then they got to make it and shared it with people who said, I really like this. I want to see more of it. And it's still going. And it outlived the creator. And that's a fucking tragedy. And I don't want to say anything to imply that it isn't. But to me, there's kind of something beautiful about having this passion project that you wanted to share with people, and after you were gone, people still wanted to share it, and they still wanted to experience it. I do think that's just really cool. I like it, but I do respect it more than I like it. So it is gonna stay in, B tier. Now we get to Volume 2. Oh, I fucking love Volume 2. I believe I used almost these exact words when talking about Volume 2 when I did a video on it. Timmy, it 1,000-year doored the first one. It is almost every problem I had was fixed. The non-revs, gone. We get actual fucking people. Is there an actual climax? Yes. It's the shit on, like, they're trying to stop a train, and they don't stop the train, and then there's a bunch of Grimm attacking a city, so then they have to stop the Grimm attacking the city, and a bunch of other characters show up, and kind of like in Season 2, you get a character trailer for someone else in the middle of the climax in Coco, and that was something I remembered because of how weird it was. Like, who the fuck is this character? And I don't remember them showing up before this, and I don't remember them doing much after this. And yeah, after watching Season 3, which is the only other season she's appeared in thus far, she doesn't do much. It just feels weird, but there's at least a climax, and they arrest Torchwick at the end. So I'm like, cool, this felt like an end to the season. Jean doesn't have an annoying character arc. He is more of a side character, but there's still stuff happening. There's the relationship with Weiss that he's trying to get going, which just doesn't, and that's okay. And he's moving on from her and starts looking more toward Pyrrha, and the development of that relationship, and it's sweet as fuck. It's not Rouge anymore. It's actually RWBY. RWBY gets to do some things in this season. It's like, I'm the leader of the team. I'm the one who's making these decisions. I really want to beat Torchwick because, like, I met him before and I let him escape, and I think that's really fucking shitty. Let's go. You start getting a bit more of Weiss and talking about her family, which she does at the end of Season 1. But the scene I really remember, she's like, oh, I can get some information. I'm going to go to the library, call up the company, and be like, hey, I'm Weiss fucking Schnee. Give me the information I want. Because, you know, I can do that. I'm the heir of the company. Heiress of the company. And the person talking to her was like, oh, Weiss, what's up? What do you need? Blah, 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 blah. Hey, while I'm here, do you want me to patch me through to your father? No. I don't want to talk to my dad. Just a little bit showing, and again, you get it in Season 1, but that little bit more of, there is a fucking crack in this family and in this relationship. Blake is the main character of Season 2. Like, kinda no bullshit. I want to stop the White Fang. Why? Because I failed to stop them when I had the chance. And I will say that is one problem I have in, I think it's Season 5 is when it's first revealed that Adam is not the leader of the White Fang. Because the way it was written early on, I deadass thought he was. But it's more kind of a minor thing. Blake's character arc in Season 2 is, I knew someone who I thought was a good person. I thought we had the same beliefs, the same morals, and the same goals. And the more I worked with him, and she really vocalizes this as well in Season 3, the more we worked together, the more I started to realize where we differentiated. My goals were about helping people. His goals were about hurting people. I wanted liberation and equality. He wanted revenge and destruction. So, and it's like I didn't realize it early enough. Because maybe if I did, I could have stopped it. I could have stopped him. I could have saved him. But I didn't. So everything that he is doing and that the White Fang are doing with him on top, I feel like that reflects on me. And I need to do something about it, and I need to be better about it. Which is one of the reasons I love her relationship with Elia, a little bit in Season 4, but really in Season 5, where she is trying to save this person. It's like, I I feel like Blake sees a lot of herself in Elia. It's like, if I can save this person from her dark path, it kind of reaffirms that I've saved myself from mine, but it's also redemption of not saving Adam. Let's see. What else do I really want to say about Blake? I feel like that's kind of it. Like, she is the main character. She is the one with the biggest personal stakes in all this, and I feel like it comes from a very interesting place. And then we get to Yang. Yang in season 2 is so much better because she gets that scene with Blake where she, gives her a moral you see throughout RWBY. I noticed it a lot in Justice League 2 of, you don't have to stop, but you need to slow down. There is no point, there is no value in achieving a goal if you destroy yourself in the process. Hell, look at Adam. You need to be able to be healthy, you need to be able to rest. And then gives her story of, yeah, my mom abandoned me when I was born. The person that I thought was my mom is actually my stepmom. And unlike fairy tales with wicked stepmoms, my stepmom is fucking awesome. Like, she is my real mother. But I did want to know my other mother. I said that and I was like, oh yeah, I haven't seen Coraline in a while. I'm your other mother. It's been a while since I've seen that movie. I really want to rewatch it. Anyways, like, I want to know about my birth mom. So I followed a tip. And I brought my little sister with me, and I carried her in this little red wagon, and I really like the art style in that backstory, too. She's like, what happened when I did that? I got us into trouble. We were attacked by Grimm. We almost fucking died. And if it wasn't for my uncle, because I think it was Crow that did it, if it wasn't for my uncle showing up to save us, I would have been dead, my sister would have died, and that's on me. That's because I didn't slow down. So that's what I've done. I haven't stopped. I'm still looking. I want that information. I want to meet this person to see if maybe there's a relationship there that's worth fostering. But I did slow down because that's what was needed. And I like that. I like that a lot. In terms of the fights, season 2 is the food fight. The food fight is one of my favorite fights in the whole fucking show. I don't have a list of every fight. I know there's tier lists for that. And I remember looking at one and going, I don't know what half these fights are. There is no point in me doing a fight tier list. I feel like the food fight is a top 5 fight for me, though. And I think for me, what affirms how much I love the food fight is it was recreated at Ice Queendom, and I didn't like it. Which feels like a weird thing to say. You would think it'd be the opposite, but it showed up at the end of Ice Queendom, and I was happy to see it while also realizing it's just not as good. What makes the food fight in season 2 so entertaining, it's how sincere it is of, like, these characters want to kick each other's asses doing goofy shit, and it's just how goofy and creative it gets. Nora uses a sledgehammer. How does she do that in the food fight? Well, she grabs a pole, slams it into a watermelon, bam, sledgehammer. What does Yang do for her gauntlets? Well, she just puts her hand in a couple of turkeys and starts using that to punch shit. That's really fun. That happens in both versions, but they don't go all the way in Ice Queendom. They don't have the part where like, Blake for her, again, I don't know what her weapon is. I just call it a kunai with chain. It's more of like a sickle on a long chain, but instead of, I don't even know what she used in Ice Queendom. I think she just had bread. Instead here, no, like, she's using fucking sausages like a whip. And I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Pyrrha using bread. No, like, I think the way they did it in Ice Queendom was Pyrrha was using bread like a sword. No, her weapon is a spear, and she uses it like a spear in season 2. There's also that part where she's, like, using her polarity to mess with the soda cans on the ground, and that's really cool. That doesn't really happen. And, like, the climax of the fight with RWBY during her thing didn't look anywhere near as cool or as fun. in the Ice Queendom version, but it's so good in Season 2. Okay, real quick, I don't know if you can hear, but one of the dogs is outside, needs to come in. The thing is right here, so I'm going to get up, and I'm going to keep talking, and hopefully it all picks up the sound of my really loud voice. You good, doggo? Oh. Other dog wanted to go outside. They trading places. Other fights in Season 2. There's fighting Torchwick in his mech while they're on the freeway. It's not quite Symphogear, because there's a couple fights in Symphogear that are kind of similar to that. I didn't like this one as much, but I think it's still pretty fun. I really like the scene where they got his mech alone, and RWBY just starts shouting out words and their fight formations. Bumblebee. Oh, that's black and white. So it's a Blake and Yang thing. Checkmate. Chess has white and black pieces. That's a Weiss and Blake thing. I think that's really fucking neat. And in addition to that, like, so it shows a lot of things. One, it shows just group chemistry, that everyone has different combo moves with each other. And all RWBY has to do is say a word, and they instantly know what it means and what they have to execute, which says to me, this is shit that they've practiced. And that's the kind of thing that's important to me. It shows that even behind the scenes, when we're not being privy to it, they are putting in the work for training, and I really like that. And also, it is showing RWBY's capabilities as a leader. I know for this situation, this is what we need to do, and it's something I've had us practice. I've planned ahead. I really, really like that. I think the fight itself is pretty cool, but it's more just kind of what it reflects and shows me and tells me about the cast that I really, really like. Also, it's the first, no, it's not the first appearance of Neapolitan, because she is actually at that White Fang meeting. I do remember that. But it's the first time Neo, like, actually gets to do anything, and I like my ice cream parasol girl. I think she's really cool. Then you get the train shit. I like the train a lot. RWBY doesn't really fight anything on the train. I think she's kind of fighting some Grimm, or maybe she was fighting some of the Droogs. I don't remember. I remember the professor using... Oh, the dog looks so fucking bad. I remember him using the dog as a missile. That's pretty fun. Blake fights Torchwick, and it's not a particularly good fight, because, I mean, it's Torchwick. He's not, like, a particularly great fighter. But, like, it's okay. Weiss fights a random dude, and there's a part of me that kind of dislikes that's just a random dude. Also, though, Weiss is fighting a dude with a fucking chainsaw, and it's cool, and of course it being Weiss, she fucking loses. Yang gets to fight Neo, and I love this fight so much. Part of me loves it because you get to see a member of Team RWBY lose, and it's not Yang, and I think that's just kind of nice, so there's some diversity in there. I love how Neo does not say a word, and she is shit-talking so efficiently and so viciously. Just every movement, every expression is just pissing Yang off, and I think it's really funny. It's also the first appearance of Raven. She's wearing her mask, so you don't get to see her face, so it's not as great as it could have been. But I still gotta give it credit for being the first appearance of Raven, and she does show up without her mask at the end of the season. So let's talk about some of the things I don't like about the season, starting with the Raven reveal. The reason I hate the Raven reveal at the end of season 2 is she's like, Yang, we have a lot to talk about. I'm like, oh shit, is that her mom? Which, I mean, having watched the show the second time, I was like, I know exactly who this character is. Actually, did I at that point? I think so. On this watch, I knew exactly who Raven was because I had seen up to season 5. And like, that's her mom. That's really cool. And then in season 3, the conversation never happened. Which means either A, it was a dream sequence, which means the stinger for season 3 was a dream sequence, and that's shitty. Or they just kind of forgot or didn't want to follow up on that. So, like, what was the fucking point of ending the season on, like, such a big, cool idea to not follow up on? That makes me mad, and I don't like it. Fuck, I'm trying to remember the other things I don't like about season 2. I had a mental list of a couple things. I will say, I'm glad it has a climax. I don't think the climax is that strong. I was like, yeah, I really like the train. Well, okay, RWBY doesn't really do anything. Okay, Blake gets to fight Torture, but it's not really a good fight. Weiss has this kind of fun fight, but she's not really fighting anyone. Yeah, like, the train's actually not that good. And then when it's in the city, you're fighting a bunch of Grimm. You're like, yeah, but they're just a bunch of random, boring Grimm. It's kind of okay. Like, I remember the part with Coco. I was like, dude, this girl's using a briefcase that tricks into a minigun. That's cool. Also, I have no idea who this person is, and I don't know why I should care. It's kind of weirdly handled. The fact that our main characters are so like, hey, we can do this by ourselves. Let's not tell the adults. Again, kind of like with season 1, it's indicative of shit they'll do later, but it's really indicative of shit that I fucking hate that they'll do later. I didn't like it in season 2, and I really didn't like it in season 7. Fuck, damn. What are some other things? I have one. I want to make sure I phrase this correctly. I like the opening song. I don't like the opening visuals. Some of it is kind of cool, but there's a couple things that stick out in my mind. One, it quickly shows like a bunch of fights. Like I think it shows Yang and Mercury, Emerald and Weiss, Blake and Torchwick, RWBY and Cinder, and only one of those fights actually happens in this season. Like, I guess if you really want to stretch the definition of a fight, you almost kind of get one between RWBY and Cinder, but not really. And fuck, we're this far into the show, I still haven't gotten a proper fight between RWBY and Cinder. Kind of at the end of season 8, but it's like a group fight, and like, I just want... I want these two to fight each other, and like, this is it, you know? But it still just hasn't fucking happened. Like, it kind of doesn't happen in season 2, even though it's teased. Weiss and Emerald, that just never happens. Yang and Mercury is a thing in season 3, but not here in season 2. Blake and Torchwick does happen. There's also this scene I remember. It's the line of the song, like, our enemies are gathering. And then it shows Emerald, her 2 droogs, Junior, and the twins from the yellow trailer all together. And I'm like, oh, okay, like, are they gonna do anything in this season? That would be kind of interesting. Like, the twins have, like, these really cool designs, and that'd be kind of shitty if they were just wasted in a trailer. They were just wasted in a trailer. They show up one time, get slightly pissy at Yang, and that's it. There's no fight with them. There's no plot with them. I was like, why are they here being, like, hyped up as the enemy when they don't do anything? Like, Neo wasn't in that part of the trailer. Why was Neo not in that part of the trailer? Like, she's an enemy. She's an answer. Come on, you give me that at least. I know. That's a minor thing. It's not a big deal, but it bothers me. It does. Something I really like that I forgot about is the part where RWBY, because we've already gotten in season 1 why RWBY wants to be a huntress. Fairy tales. That shit's dope. I want to do that. I love that, actually. Season 2, the other 3 members of the cast get to go in that as well. With Weiss, it is, I want to restore the honor to my family's name. Because, boy, my dad has fucked up the honor of my family's name. Someone has to bring it back, and as the heiress of the family, it's going to be me. My grandpa, Big Nicholas, using the Ice Queen to fucking Big Nicholas! That shit cracked me up all season! Oh, it was great. But, my grandpa, Big Nicholas, was this great huntsman, and I want to do, like, I realized I had combat ability, which, again, Weiss being the one that jogs, I'm like, I kind of giggle a little bit. But it's like, I can fight, so I want to do something similar to restore my family's honor. Good shit. Blake, what about you? I don't want to be a bystander. I have been the victim of prejudice and persecution my entire life. And I've also been on the other end of, I've tried to fix it, but I didn't like the methods I was using. So I want to be able to make the world a better place to help people without resorting to destruction. I can't be a bystander anymore. Right, Blake? Right, Blake? Can't be a bystander? Oh, I really don't like Blake in a lot of the later seasons of the show. I'm sorry, I'm gonna be dead ass. I fucking hate her in season 4 and I fucking hate her in season 8 so much. I'm sorry. I really am, but I'm also not. Just, and I think it's because of how much I genuinely really like her in season 2. I don't want to be a bystander. Here's why. And it's so, like, it makes so much sense for her character. And she even talks about her issues of, I always run away, and I hate that I run away. I want to be stronger so I don't have to. I want to have people I can rely on and trust so I don't have to. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Right, Blake? And then you have Yang, who's like, dude, I just wanted to hang out and, like, I wanted to go to cool places, meet cool people, and fight cool things. That's it. And yeah, like, I want to learn about my mom and shit, but I just want to have adventures. I want to have a good time. In a way, it's almost kind of like Stark in Freyrun. But it's like, I want to do cool shit so I can tell people. And Yang is the member of the trio to say, but I've realized from thinking about it and answering his question, what I want is secondary to my job. As a huntsman, as a huntress, our job is to help people, and it's to save lives. And if we can achieve our dreams and goals along the way, perfect. But our goals and dreams have to serve our duties as a huntsman and not the other way around. Which, yeah, Yang does a really good job of that here in Season 8. And that maybe sounded sarcastic. It's not supposed to. Yang makes really good on that in Season 8. And I appreciate that a lot. That's pretty much it for Season 2. It's not a B tier season. It's higher than that. It's just, it's not there. Is it an A tier or an S tier season? I'm going to put it in A for now. I got to talk through this. Clearly, I really like it. I do have some problem. Like, again, like the thing with the opening, that's a minor problem. It bothers me. You can still be an S tier season with something like that. My big problems. It has a climax, which I don't want to give you extra points for having a climax, but your little sister didn't, so I guess you do. I just don't think the climax is very good. It's one of the weakest in the... Okay. Season 3 has a fantastic climax. Season 4... You know, I'll say Season 4 has a better climax. I think the fight with the centaur it's pretty okay. I think it's pretty good. But there's a lot of character shit there for Nora and Ren that Season 2 in the train doesn't really have. Season 5, I think overall, Season 5 has a pretty weak and janky climax, but it does have one of the best fights in the entire series. Season 6 is weird, because one half of the climax is really cool on paper, but I did not give a shit. The other half of the climax is really good. Like the actual fighting is good. The emotional significance is good. The plot significance is good. I'm like, it should have happened in Season 5. So it's a problem. I did not care at all about the climax in Season 7. Because I'm like, everyone is stupid. Season 8, I think, is fine. I don't even want to say that. Season 8 does have a good climax. I'm underselling it. Season 8 is a really good climax. In terms of the fight, Season 9, I think, is pretty good. In terms of the emotional significance, it is phenomenal. So, it's maybe not the worst in the series, Season 2. I'd say it's about on par with maybe season 7 for kind of different reasons. But it having such a weak climax, I don't know if I could put it in S. And like a lot of these other seasons, 6 and 7, and 4, really looking at y'all, the main characters' attitudes bring it down for me a little bit. I like the additional focus on them and their depth, especially in Weiss, Blake, and Yang. And I really like how Blake is written in this volume. However, it is a major, even before I got to these later volumes, I was just kind of thinking to myself, like, you know, why are you so against telling the adults what you're trying to do? And the information, like, well, if we tell them what we're trying to do, they're going to stop us because we're not ready to do it yet. Okay, but you should still fucking tell them because they have the experience to handle this shit. They have the resources to handle this shit. You guys don't. Like, look at Harry Potter. In Sorcerer's Stone, they tried to, like, tell people shit that would happen. It's like, you know why they didn't tell Dumbledore shit in the early Harry Potter books? Because Dumbledore wasn't fucking there. Because he had to be written out of the plot, so the characters couldn't talk to him, so they had to do shit on their own. And even then, they'd be like, hey, we think Snape is trying to steal the stone. No, he's not. Snape's a teacher protecting the stone. He wouldn't do that. Like, well, shit. The teachers don't believe us. We have to do shit on our own. And then they did, and like, oh, it wasn't Snape anyways, but it was someone trying to steal the stone. Blah, blah, blah. Here, they actively try to not tell Oz anything, and then finally he's able to get some information out of them. And like, it's an attitude that I did not care for. And it's another kind of knock against Time to Say Goodbye. Because there's even lyrics in the song about that. Like, you know, like, we can't just wait. There's lives at stake until they think we're ready. But I'm like, I don't know. You could have fucking told them before, I don't know, before Cinder was sneaking into the school and shit. Like, come on, guys. And that's an aspect of the series that just gets worse over time. So yeah, I don't, as much as I love season 2, and I do, I can't quite put it in S. So I'll tell you what, I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna go and stop the recording right here. We got 4 trailers done, 2 seasons, we got 7 seasons more to go, 2 Justice League specials, and a partridge in a pear tree. So, we'll break for now. I'm going to drink some water. Maybe drink a little bit. I probably shouldn't drink some eggnog. But I'll drink some water, and then we can continue.